My guest today is the founder of Bizology, a unique business that blends coaching and numerology to help entrepreneurs thrive. With over 25 years of experience in business development, sales, and marketing, she now uses the power of numerology to guide her clients towards greater success. In this episode, we dive into what numerology really is, how your life path number can unlock deeper self-awareness, and how you can use numerology daily, monthly, and yearly to align with your strengths and maximize your potential. If you've ever wondered how numbers can shape your path, this conversation is for you. Enjoy the episode. Hello listeners, thanks for joining another episode of the Skin I'm In podcast. I'm your host Chanel, and this is a place where women can tune in to gain peace through clarity, purpose through inspiration, and the permission to be themselves through the stories of other women. If you're enjoying these episodes so far, click the like, share, and subscribe button so that more women like you can be positively impacted by the stories in this podcast. Welcome to the Skin I'm In podcast show. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for the invitation. Lovely to be here.
Oh, I have been hanging to have this conversation, and some funny things have happened since you and I last spoke. I actually met a woman who started talking to me about numerology randomly at a party, and I'm looking at her going, I literally just spoke to a numerologist that I'm having on the show, and she's like, oh my goodness. So it was just divine timing that what even came up. So let's start with the basics, just in case there are people listening to the show that don't know what numerology is. What is it and what can it teach us?
Okay, so like astrology looks to the stars, numerology looks to numbers. Mathematicians teach us that nothing happens in life without numbers. And it's true. And it sounds a bit Beyonce, but numbers rule the world, okay? So 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. That's maths, that's quantity. Numerology teaches us quality. Numerology teaches us story. So take our number 4. 4 is about structure, control, routine, and system, okay? And in life, we have 4 fingers, 4 seasons, 4 parts of our brain, 4 directions, 4 pairs to our DNA, 4 chambers to our heart, 4 walls, 4 wheels on a car, 4 legs on a chair, 4 suits in the tarot, because what's 4 doing? Teaching us structure, control, routine, and system, right? So 2 and 2 is 4, but in numeric terms, 4 is a story. So every number tells a story. So when we apply that to people, our numbers tell us our stories and what we're meant to do in the world. Because if you've got a number, you've got it for a reason. So Pythagoras taught us that numerology has vibrational frequency. So it helps us understand who we are. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I'm curious because when we did catch up last time, we spoke about my numbers, and I wanted to check in with you because I thought once you hit a master number, you don't necessarily bring that down and it remains as the master number, but you brought mine down to 6 rather than 33. Why is that?
It's because we use whole numbers. So to get a 33 in your date of birth, you're born on the 21st of August, right? You would add 2 plus 1 plus 0 plus 8, but that reduces everything down. So we do 21 plus 8 plus your date of birth, okay, to give us 4 digits, and then we add those 4 digits up. So that is, I actually wrote a blog recently, 13 myths about numerology, and that was in there. You cannot have 33 as a life path number at the moment because it's a master number. You can be an 11, the spiritual teacher, you can be the 22, the architect of change. But 33 is Christ consciousness, right? You don't want to be a 33. It'd be too much to cope with at the moment. The world's gone mad. The world's gone crazy. Being a 33 at the moment would be too much sacrifice. The 6 has to sacrifice in some way, but, we talk about this, I'm sure, today, but people can worship hero numbers a bit, right? We've got to respect them. So 33 can happen in other parts of your chart, but it isn't a life path number at the moment.
So that's interesting. So does it depend then on the state of civilization when those numbers have meaning?
Yeah, so Jesus was a life path 33, and what did he do? He sacrificed himself, okay? So in the past, there have been 33s, but we're not having 33s at the moment. We went through a spate of not having many 11s. When you and I were born in the 70s and 80s, there was lots of 22s born, which is the architect of change. It's Oprah Winfrey, it's Bill Gates, it's Richard Branson, it's Donald Trump. Now, you can't be a 22 at the moment. You can be a 4, a life path 4. And when we were being born, you couldn't be an 11, really. It was quite rare, a spiritual teacher. Now there's loads of spiritual teachers being born. And you could lay this on with rainbow children and star children and crystal children. It goes deeper. But there are better times and easier times for life path numbers to be born into the world, depending on what we need.
Right. So then what's coming up for me right now is that would maybe mean that there are some other misconceptions around numerology. Are there other things that people tend to believe in this time that aren't really true?
Yeah. So, personal years. So say I go, right, I've just been in London, okay, and there's 3 amazing bookshops, and spiritual bookshops. And of course I head to the numerology section. And if I can, the first thing I do, whether I'm going to buy a book or not, is go to the personal year part, because we work in 9-year cycles and there's better years and easier years to do things. And I look in the personal years and I see, are they saying that a personal year starts on your birthday till your birthday, which it does, because we're born into the personal year, or are they saying that it starts January to December? And if it's January to December, I'll respectfully put the book back, okay? So it's, for me, you can't be a life path 33 at the moment. Personal years start on your birthday and they end on your birthday because it's what we're experiencing right now. Portal numbers, you might have seen people jump up and down about the 2nd of the 2nd or the 3rd of the 3rd or the 4th of the 4th. The 4th of the 4th, to me, that's my birthday. The 8th of the 8th isn't like gate, it's my best friend's birthday. The 12th of the 12th is my dad's birthday, right? So I've got friends who really make a big thing and a fuss and have events and go into these dates, but I don't, because to me, it's the whole day. So today we add up the 19th of the 3rd, 2025, and that gives us an energy, okay? So today is a 4-day structure, control, routine, and system. So there's things that, not I call out, but I roll my eyes out a bit. 1111, everyone jumps up and down. Well, I'm going to manifest loads of money. It might be a warning sign because 11 is a master number. So it's all about being grounded when you use numerology, respecting the numbers and understanding key principles.
And so tell me how you got into this. You have always been someone who's fascinated by the energy of numbers as a child. How did you discover numerology and what made you believe in its power?
So, yeah, I've always really loved not times tables, but when I was a little girl, I used to ask my mum to write down, before I could write, the names of people in my class, and I'd be putting loads of numbers next to them. I love drawing numbers. I was always drawn to numbers. And then, when I was growing up, I would make a beeline for a numerology book or a article or a blog or a magazine insert. And it was International Women's Day 2017, 8 years ago. And the keynote speaker said, forget International Women's Day, it's International Women's Millennium, because we're in the energy of the 2000s. And he had me at hello, because at the time I was doing a marketing for heart-centered female entrepreneurs. So I listened with intent to every single word that he said. And apparently I was shaking my head and he thought I was saying no, but it was just in disbelief, because I really appreciated and had huge light bulb moments and aha moments about who I am through my numbers. So I didn't sleep that night. I literally was online, but I went down a rabbit hole. Don't do it. There's dubious information. So then I went to a London college. I studied 2 big certifications in numerology. I did a mentorship. I bought lots of books. I took what I believed to be true. I left what I didn't believe to be true. I wanted to help other people because it had helped me so much. I'll explain how it helped me so much in a minute. And I decided to pivot my business, and I prayed and I asked God, what do you want me to call my business? And he told me Bizology. So it was given to me. If I didn't do anything about it, it'd be a black mark, because it was a big gift. And this was all in my personal year 9, which is about endings, right? Releasing, completing, shedding, letting go. So you don't start anything new in the 9 year, because it feels old when you get to your 1 year. So I waited until I was in my 1 year, and then, the branding, the balloon shoot, the photos. I seeded Bizology, using the power of numerology to elevate your business success. And what I realized about myself that night is that I'm a life path 1, and I knew that. But I'm actually working with a karmic debt number, which is a 1910 and people hear the word karmic debt and they panic. Don't panic. Everyone's got karma numbers somewhere, right? But this means that I could be very, very quick, very, very impatient, hyper-focused, and codependent. And I kind of really started to understand the karmic number and how it had a double-edged short sword, how it had helped me be focused to achieve my goals. And I lived all over the world: Egypt, Morocco, Turkey, Tunisia, Australia, Singapore, Greek islands. I did 10 ski seasons, but I never let anything land. I was on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. We are the negative of our numbers. And I was, at the time, 44, never married, no kids. And I haven't got 6 anywhere. Chanel's a beautiful 6, all about love and connection and community. And I don't have 6 anywhere. And I was always trying to find the man to have the baby. But if I was really honest with myself, I was happy on my own. I'm good on my own. I need to be self-employed. I can have a loving relationship, but I don't want one. And that was oh my goodness. But I really don't like being told what to do. I have to go with the beat of my own drum. I'm not great in groups. I can lead a group. I'm not good in groups. And I was trying to be in all of these groups. I was leading networking groups. I was being the power behind the throne. I was being a number 2, but I'm not a number 2. I'm a number 1. So I started to make all these changes. I started to make friends with my numbers. I started to appreciate who I was through the lens of numbers, look at my family as well and give them a bit of a break, look at how I interacted with people. Even numbers are emotional, 2, 4, 6, 8. Odd numbers are of the mind. And I've got a lot of mental numbers. So I could also see the number that it's easy for me to be. I'm born on the 4th. I'm a dog with a bone. Nothing gets past me. The number I'm working towards in life, 8. I'm not meant to be a 30 quid numerologist. The number that could trip me up in a previous life, 9. I could be a bit nice, a bit naive, think everyone was as nice as me. I didn't even know what a boundary was until 10 years ago. So it really started to help me understand who I was, so much so that I was being in better rooms, increasing my income, creating a path that wasn't wobbly, not putting logs on the fire, really having boundaries and understanding no is a full sentence, and then got to a point where I bought my house. So numerology, it was a bit dramatic, but numerology saved me really, because it helped me understand who I was, why I'm here, and what I'm here to do.
Everything you just said washed over me a sense of relief, and like pressure had been lifted off me. And I can't help but wonder, does numerology, or can numerology help people heal from things like trauma or break generational patterns?
Yeah, brilliant question. So we hear the word heal a lot, right? But we're never done healing, because we've got loads of ancestors and past lives, and we carry it all with us. We're not done healing. So it's about learning. So the more you learn who you are as part of your soul contract, why you're here and what you're here to do this time, what can trip you up. I'm not really interested in the positives of my numbers, because they're nice and well done. I want to know the negatives of my numbers, so then I can stop doing those, so then I can move forward, right? So the more we heal, the more we learn, the more we heal. So learning who we are, I don't mean learning the back end of the website or how to get onto Riverside, but the more we learn who we are, then we heal. So yeah, it's been really healing for me to appreciate myself through the lens of numbers, to appreciate my family through the lens of numbers, my friends. And, there's 2 things going on. What's going on? What's really going on? Numerology shows you what's really going on. And it's not often what you think.
So how does someone find out what their karmic debt is?
So,
Like in the numbers, like you were talking about
so
before.
I'm just looking at your chart. One sec. So you don't have, in your initial chart, you don't have any obvious karmic numbers. They might be in your name, they might be elsewhere in your chart. But looking at your chart here in front of me, there isn't any karmic debt numbers. So what we're looking for is 4 numbers. 13, which reduces to 4, 14, which reduces to 5, 16, which reduces to 7, and 19, which reduces to 1. So if this is in the life path, then the person knows that they've got a bit of a monkey on their back, right? So I've had some quite big things go on, like we all have, but I was in Egypt, a bomb went off, I had to manage the bomb, and 65 people got killed. It was a Sharm el-Sheikh terrorism attack in 2005. So that's like a big thing. One of my friends, her husband actually murdered her and then jumped off a roof. So there's been like big, big things, okay? And I know lots of people have had big things, but when you've had quite large things like that, there's normally karmic debt numbers going on. So it helps us understand why, because we're here to deal with like big things. So I don't know if you or your listeners use the tarot. So I use the tarot a lot. Now, the 13th tarot card is death, right? Everyone jumps up and down about it. I quite like it. It's transformation. So 13 gets a bad rap. Judas was said to, right, in the Gospel of Judas and other Christian tomes, maybe not so much, but he's said to betrayed Jesus. You getting a lift in Italy is 12, 12A, 14. The 13th house on the street will be 10 grand cheaper, right? So 13 always gets a bad rap. My mum's born on the 13th. She'll say, lucky for me. Of course you will, okay? You'll say that. So 13 is a karmic debt number, but it means the person cannot take shortcuts in life. 14 in the tarot is temperance. There's a picture of an angel and he is pouring cup to cup. What's that mean? Balance, right? We want balance in life. 14, 5, is a bit addictive, a bit tempting. 5 is sexy and sassy. Beyonce, right? 16, 7 in the tarot is the Tower. Chaos, disaster, bang. But it just means that the old is going so the new can come in. But with 16/7, we need a connection to God. In French, they call it La Maison Dieu, the house of God. So watch being faithful to self and others, and you'll need a connection to source. 19/10/1 is the sun. The 19th tarot card is the sun. That's me. But what happens when we're in the sun too long without any protection? We get burnt, especially in your hemisphere, okay? We get burnt. So we have to be mindful of being burnt, right? So when we appreciate these numbers, you might have it in your life path. You might be born on the 13th or the 14th or the 16th or the 19th. One of your personal years might be in these numbers. Even if when years and years and years ago, when men and women were more men were 13, 14, 16 and 19, it was like an initiation, okay? Because they knew that these years were tough. If you've got teenagers now who are 13, 14, 16 and 19, it will be tricky years for them, okay? But what do? They might get a new car, or they might get a new iPad, or, it's not the same now. But they're tricky energies. Even if you're in a 13 house, a 14 house, a 16 house, a 19 house, you have to learn. I've written a book. There's a chapter about tricky numbers. We don't want to fall at the feet of them, but we don't want to create them. We don't want to create them in our pricing. It's the 19th today, okay? So we've just got to be mindful about the sun burning us today. We're not going to panic. We're not going to jump up and down. We're not going to fall at the feet. Just going to be mindful. Numbers help us be mindful.
I love what you said about the death card and how people like that usually freaks people out because, and for me, and I love that you get excited by that card, because for me, I'm always like, that's growth opportunity. That's where things, are new. And that is the most exciting part of the journey. You've literally peeled something off for me, and I have the opportunity to regenerate through that. And I've always just thought it's so strange that other people don't look at it that way. And at the same time, I get that, it means different things for different people. And same goes with the number 13. Ever since I was young, Joe, I've always been like, why? Why 13? What is it about 13? Someone's got something about 13 that they don't want us to know. And so I've never had a problem with the number, but I've always been curious as to why 13 specifically, and not the other numbers that you just mentioned, but with the 14, 15, and 19. Like, why not get rid of those flaws as well? So why do you think it is that 13 very specifically and not the other numbers when it comes to lifts and floors and houses?
Well, shall I read you a tiny bit about 13?
Sure.
Because it used to be, if I can find it, it used to be worshipped as like a holy number. A lot of people call it a goddess number even now. Sorry, nearly there. Okay, so yeah, it is the death card, and every morning I pull a card. What does today require of me? Guess what card I got today? Death. And I was like, woohoo, let's go. Not only is it a major arcana, but it's for transformation. Yes, it can mean actual death. Of course it can. And it has in my life. But today I can see it means, because what's going on for me at the moment, it means a blessing in disguise and clearing the old. So 13 is widely feared because at the Last Supper, Judas was perceived to deceive Jesus, who then died, but it was so revered, and then it was considered so holy. And when you make something so high, you make it unapproachable, and then people panicked about it. So there are superstitions around the number, and I think it's become so ingrained in society, like the lift example in Italy, like the house example. But it is a case of lucky for some, especially if you're born on the 13th. But in reality, it's when you put a 1 and the negative of 1, I'm a life path 1, the negative of 1 is selfishness. When you put a 1 in front of a number, it can be lazy. 3, look at the 3, it's lucky. Kylie's a 3, she sings, I should be so lucky, right? So when we're having a 3 with 1 in front of it, you're making that 3, which is inherently lazy, a selfish, lazy person. So it means that the 13 can't be lazy. In this lifetime, they need to step away from the party, step away from triviality into structure, control, routine, and system, which is 4, because 1 and 3 is 4. So yeah, they have to learn to be responsible and face challenges. But in answer to your question, it was such a kind of revered holy energy that then, when humans get involved and they scaremonger, it became feared.
Just interesting and a shame, because I'm like, where in my life have I ever had a 13? And I used to play basketball, and I had 11 as a jersey number, and then I was given 13. But I'd never thought of it as a lucky number or anything. And even since we last spoke and I had shared with you that 8's my lucky number, and you burst my bubble about that, and I'm like, what do I do now? How did people then work out what their lucky number is? And just for the listeners, so I have always done everything by 8s. Joe shared with me that was, what is it? It's from my past life. I was in a different energy.
Yeah, like it doesn't mean you can't use it. Like, please don't think that. It's just the number you were in a previous life is 8, right?
Okay.
So you'll have very high standards. You'll be very professional. I've been on hundreds of podcasts, and like you're like me, I got a link properly. I wasn't scrambling around for it. I got the questions. I had a pre-chat. You're professional. It's part of your DNA because you were the professional last time, so you can't help yourself be professional this time. We want to watch the critical 8, just seeing things through the lens of numbers. Perfection keeps you poor, but you can still use 8. It's just you don't need to be 8 this time because you're here to be a 6 this time.
Okay.
You're here to be the nurturer. Okay. So I wouldn't say that numbers are lucky. I'd say that you've got a chart and you're here to work with the chart. So my chart is 1, 4, 8, 9, 22. And the more I lean into that, the more that I'm like in alignment, the more I can move forward, the more I'm doing my soul contract, the more I don't have to come back and repeat the same next time. So your chart is 6, 3, 11, 8, 1. The nurturer, the way you do that is to communicate. You're a spiritual teacher. That's what your life wants you to be. So the more you can teach in a spiritual way, connect to source, God divine, and develop your psychic and intuitive abilities, life will get better. Watch the critical, like monkey on your shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the materialism, watch the greed, but you need to be self-employed and do your own thing. So that will help you move forward.
Yeah, and that makes sense because I meet people and within 5 minutes they're like, wow, you're really hard on yourself. And I was like, excellence is one of my values. And so now I'm so understanding that. But I mean, I've spent, ever since I discovered life paths as a teenager, I've spent it thinking I'm a 33. And now I'm like, well, I need to get to know what a 6 is. I don't know what a 6 is. Who am I? So this is like, making all the things in my brain go off.
So 6 is so look at the shape of the 6. So it's very inclusive. It's all about and 6 sides to the beehive, right? 6 is love, connection, community, nurturing, family. 6 is understand how people feel. We don't buy our way into something, we buy our way out of something. It's animals, it's public service, it's doctors and nurses and police. In the negative, they break the rules. In the negative, they're mother hen. In the negative, they interfere. In the real negative, they're in the mafia, right?
Interesting.
So if you go, but that's extreme.
Yeah.
So if you go into a casino at 5 in the morning, it'd be full of life path 5s because they can roll the dice in life a bit, right? If you went into a prison, it would be full of 6s because in the extreme, they're breaking the rules for the collective.
Okay. Yeah. That makes a
So,
lot of sense.
so look at 6, turn it upside down, you get a 9. 9 is love, compassion for humanity. It's the hermit in the tarot. 6 in the tarot is the lovers. Only one of the cards with 2 people on it because it's about connection. So I'm 52 next week or week after. Never married, no kids. I don't have 6 anywhere apart from an Owen Joe, and I'm in a 42-6 house. But that's because my life's meant to be about 1, which is innovation, originality, pioneering, entrepreneurialism.
Honestly, I can't help but feel like people who don't know this or have not been exposed to this, or people who think this is all kinds of woo-woo, which there is a lot of those out there, how much they would be missing out, I guess I would say, and that's just from my perspective. It clearly isn't a priority for them because of whatever their life journey is, but just how much we can find out about ourselves through this lens. And to me, it's one of those And I know you replaced healing with learning, and I love that. And also I think to myself, it is just another healing/learning modality that we can apply to our lives to help guide us in our soul's mission, to help heal and learn and unlearn the behaviors that we have learned and the things that we've developed to protect ourselves from being hurt. Yeah, it's how can people use numbers in their day-to-day life? Like, is there a way that they can implement numerology in their day-to-day?
Yeah, definitely. So this might be a nice time to talk about personal years, okay? So we work in 9-year cycles, and there's better years and easier years to do things, right? Now, I've been in a 7-year. 7's about thinking, seeking, learning, questioning and asking, okay? 7 wonders of the world, 7 seas, 7 days of the week, 7th days to stop, 7 directions, the 7th directions to stop, 7 candles on the menorah, 7 year itch when you've had enough. 7 is about pulling back, right? This year, I haven't got 7 in my chart. This year, I've just wanted the world to leave me alone because it's tumbleweed, and I've been researching and reflecting and going deep. And I'm about to go into my 8th year, which is a year to harvest what you've seeded over the last 7-8 years. So let me have a look quickly. I know I worked it out last time, but I'm just going to check your personal year from your last birthday. So yeah, you're in a personal year 1, which is seeding the new for the next 9 years. New faces, new spaces, new places. Reinvent yourself. Let's go, right? So that is kind of the jukebox of what's going on for everybody this year. What's going on with me right now? Me, personal year 7 into an 8. Chanel, personal year 1, still for a few months until your birthday. Then you'll go into 11. We don't reduce a master number. It's going to be a spiritual, intense year, okay? So I always say, let's look at the personal year. It goes deeper with personal months. Number 1. Number 2, today is Wednesday. So you're saying to me, when would you like to talk? I'm like, Wednesday, because it's ruled by Mercredi, Mercury in French, Mercredi, Mercury, even though Mercury's retrograde at the moment. Good old Mercury. So it's a good day for communication. It's a good day to put your podcast out. It's a good day to talk, okay? So I'm actually on a masterclass, a group I'm in tonight, and it's always the 3rd Wednesday of the month because it's a communication day. Okay, so we check the day. Then we can go even deeper, and like I said, today's a 4-day from the 19th of the 3rd, 2025. So it's a 4-day. So if I was to get a flight today, I'd go an hour earlier than normal because 4 is slow and traffic can scupper a 4-day. So I'm just going to get ahead of myself. If I get to my hotel and I'm in a 13-4 room, then I can't take any shortcuts on that trip. I might be in a 1 energy room. Check your flight number. What seat number are you in? Add the letter as well. So they're just little things that you can do, but as female entrepreneurs or male entrepreneurs, we look at pricing, right? So I've got a program 2222. What's that? 2468. Am I working with 8? Yes, I am, because I'm born on the 4th of the 4th. That's 8. Is my service 8 in energy? Yes, it is. Okay. I'm not just going to use a master number or repeating numbers for the sake of it. I'm going to work it out. I've got another program, a session 195. That's 6. Is it 6 in energy? Yeah, because it's all about helping people and connecting. Okay, so we can look at our pricing. We can look at the date we started our business. What does our business want? Our businesses are alive. They've got their own Akashic records. They attract and they repel like we're attracting and repelling. Okay, our name. Words are spells. That's why we call it spelling. So Joanna Elizabeth Soley is a 3. I look like a communicator. People asked me for a book long before I wrote it, but I'm not a 3. I'm a 1. But you treat me like that and then I'll behave like that. Okay, I'm good on stage. I'm good talking. I'm fine. But then you might think, good old Joe, let's go for a drink. But I need more space on my own than I'd maybe first appear. Okay? Your name isn't who you are. It's who you look like you are. Change your name, change your life. Events. Okay, well, let's run a 2-day event. But we don't want to do it on a karmic debt day, right? And Mondays are a bit emotional because they're run by the moon. But Friday's a good day for an event because it's Vendredi, it's Venus, it's love. So let's go there. So there's loads of like little tools in the Bizology toolkit that you can use to run your business and use them day to day. And I know I joked about like 11:11 earlier, but I still notice it. But what I would do if you see 11:11, stop. What are you thinking about right now? Because that is a confirmation from God, source, angels, divine. That is something to take notice of.
There is so much in that. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I want to unpack it all of it. So then are you saying that if someone is struggling to start a business, that there might be a numerical reason for that? They might not be in the right year for it.
Yeah, or they might not have the right life path number.
So then they shouldn't open a business altogether. Is that what you're saying?
Or they need support.
Okay.
So life path number 1, like myself, that's like Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, right? You ask me what do you want to say if we're having dinner, what do you want to do in 5 years' time, Joe? 5 years, I don't know, 5 days, right? I've got to do next. My business I'm misunderstood. Everyone thought it was crazy. Not everyone. My family thought it was nuts doing this. Now my dad loves it. So I have to just do the next thing. 2 is the sensitive. They need to have nice flowers on their desk, essential oils, candles. They need to feel supported by their environment. They're the power behind the throne. It's Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Lopez, Barack Obama, Biden, loads of presidents are 2s. They're not meant to be leaders. 3 is like more performers. Kylie, Ed Sheeran, Gary Barlow. We have The Apprentice in the UK, Lord Alan Sugar. He's funny, but it's smart, not hard. 4, there's not many famous 4s because they're worker bees. 5s, it is pioneering, but in a different way. It's like trailblazing in a different way. It's J.K. Rowling and it's Mark Zuckerberg. It's risk. 6 is understanding how people feel. So 6s make really good business owners because they do understand how people feel. So it's Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett, but it's also I'm trying to think of like national people. So Zoe Ball, she's more 6. Karen Brady, Einstein, Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, Meryl Streep. There are performers as well. 6 energy entertainers. 7, our late Queen was a 7, but she needed space. She needed time off stage. 8, Nelson Mandela, right? But when he left prison, he said, I'm going to leave it behind me. Otherwise, I'm always going to be in prison. 9, Greta Thunberg because she's interested in the world. It's also Robbie Williams and Adele, big characters. But 9 is all about love and healing. 11 is really, really intense. It's Prince William, Paloma Faith, like crazy energy. It's off the scale. They're very inspirational, but ideas don't really get grounded unless they've got support because they live up here. 22 is, like I said before, Branson and Oprah, but they're here to change the world one person at a time. But if they can't get out their own way and stay in 4, because 2 and 2 is 4, then they don't get off the starting blocks, but they can't access 22 without going through the self-discipline. So, yeah, some numbers are more creative, some numbers are more spiritual, some numbers are more naturally more trailblazing, pioneering and entrepreneurial.
How does someone work out what life year they're in?
So I've got free apps on my website that they can use, but you take your date of birth and you add the day and the month and the year of your last birthday, because you haven't had your birthday yet, so you're still in that year. So for me, it's 4 plus 4 plus 2024 is 2032, which is 232, which is 7. Yeah, but my 8 year is like coming, and it kicks in about the month before and it takes a whole month to kick in. So because my birthday's on the 4th of the 4th, it's only a couple of weeks, so I can feel it, and I'm getting opportunities like yourself. I'm a contributor in a magazine. I've just spoken on stage for 3 days, blah, 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 blah. But I'm not ready because I'm like, I really like the 7. And also, like, I'll be real, right? I'm very menopausal at the moment. So the 7 kind of helped me. And now it's like, come, 8's calling me. I'm like, oh.
So how would numerology or understanding our life path number help us navigate challenges, say like in our relationships, or help us to find the right person? Is that even a thing? Because I remember back in the days, people would look at horoscopes and, whether they match or not. But a number's also a thing when we're looking for somebody.
Yeah. Compatibility is a real thing in numerology. Odds work well with odds because we're more of the mind. Evens work well with evens because they're more emotional. It doesn't mean an odd number can't go out with an even number. But what I would do is, so you're a 6 and I'm a 1. So together we create 7, right? So what are we doing? Having a deep conversation. We're not touching the surface. We're learning together. We are analysing things. We're researching things. We're going deeper. So a lot of my friends are 6s. And even though I'm not very 6 in energy, it works for me to be in a friendship with a 6 because we co-create together 7. So a lot of my clients, clients become friends, don't they? Are 6s, and a lot of my team, because they support me, are 6s, so that's good. And then together we've got this 7. So I said to a team member yesterday, oh, have you got 10 minutes? Of course, it was an hour and 10 minutes. She'd just done UPW with Tony Robbins as well, so I wanted to see how she was. But we were just going deep with so much.
I want to move on from relationships and find out more about your book. Tell me, you said before people were asking you to write it before you had written it. So how did that happen, and how did it come about that you wrote Bizology 101?
So when I was speaking from stage, events would say, oh, do an upsell, Joe. So I would share my free lead magnets, which are my apps, and then I'd invite people to work with me one-to-one during whatever I felt appropriate for the event. And then people would say, I want to buy your book. have you got a book? So this kept being said, and then people were saying, what numerology books do you recommend? And then it was kind of like, I really need to write my own book now. And then because of my name, how I appear as a 3, and a deeper piece of my name, which is my soul urge. What my soul wants is 3. So this was before, not that I'd ever do this because I think it's soulless. I wouldn't use AI to write a book but this before AI. And I wouldn't have said I was a writer, but I think your book writes you. So what I did, I'd written loads of blogs. I took every single blog that I'd ever written and then I chunked it into pieces, and that was 40,000 words. The book is 64,000 words because numerology books are always 11 times longer than any other books because you've got 11 numbers to write about. But I wanted to really make it about the life path number. So from chapter 7 to chapter 25, it's really about your life path number. There's stuff about cosmic currents, your Bizology compass, going deeper, Bizology in real life, words of spells, digits and destiny to infinity and beyond. But the chunk was the life path number. Now, I got a publishing deal and I wanted to call it Bizology 101 because that's what came down divinely, and 101 is a starting point. And they said, no, people don't know what Bizology is. It's got to be called Numerology something. I didn't want it. It's not Numerology. It's Bizology. So I said no. So then I could have self-published with vanity companies, but I thought, no, I'm going to self-publish. So I just wrote. I wrote an hour a day. I wrote for 9 months because we're pregnant for 9 months. So it's like giving birth. I've never had a baby, so it's like giving birth. I even wrote Christmas Day for an hour. I am very, like, if I want to do something, I'll do it. So but I need a structure, I need a plan, I need a system. So I did that. And then my father was a legal director and he was really good at spotting tiny little mistakes. So first of all, I had my web designer who's also a proofreader. She came and sat with me, bless her, sat here next to me for 2 days, reading everything and sense checking. Do you need that bit? That doesn't really make sense. You don't need that. Don't worry about that. That, but mainly the proofread. And then I printed it all out. I got in the car. It was the King's coronation. I drove to my dad's, printed. I typed double-sided. He sat there for 9 hours going silence to my stepmom. She went back to bed. I bought a Vogue magazine. Go to bed. And he just went through it all, saying, "You like a split infinitive, Joanna?" And there wasn't much because Claire did such an amazing job, but she said I did a good job. So to me, like, I need to have people that I love and trust. And Claire's worked with me for years and years. Dad, obviously, was my dad. And yeah, that was it. So then I got it all kind of typefaced, put it on Amazon, and it sold more than 400 copies now in 2 years, nearly 2 years. But no ads, that's just organic. So I think that's good.
Yeah, people are definitely looking for things like that. And, it's like you said, I've come into your sphere because of you wanting to, get yourself out there. And I find that I'm starting to just become a magnet for incredible women who have wisdom like I've never experienced before, like yourself, like Caroline, who, introduced us. And I feel like there is a thirst or a hunger for it at the moment. I feel like a lot of women, especially, I mean, I can't speak for men, but I just feel like a lot of women are waking up to they're godly gifts, they're divine, I would call it gifts again, but it's just that, like, that divine essence that we all have that we've forgotten. And I'm not surprised that people are looking for your book, and I'm not surprised that, organically that they found it, because I really do feel like it's a time for that. Would you say that right now in our current society, there is sort of an awakening going on? Is there something, numerical that's going on that's causing this?
People talk about the age of Aquarius, that it's coming. I think we're in it, but Aquarius energy is like about group and team and connection and family. And family energy is very, 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 very powerful, but it's not often very positive. Okay, I'm not an astrologer, but there is going to be, in February 2026, there is going to be huge outer planet transits, Neptune and Saturn, on a collision course to lift the reality on what's happening. And Saturn is the planet of karma, and these two, Saturn and Neptune, and it's in Aries. This is going to help us strengthen our own personal resilience, and it will focus on the spiritual side of life. But I don't really think that it's like awakening love and light. I think that there's going to be a light being shone on all false gurus, because Saturn is going to break down this. And Saturn hitting Neptune, and Saturn's going to be in Aries, any like charlatans and any, fake spiritual, it's not good. It might always bring down the real people as well, but the true magicians will stand the test of time. So this is a lot, but the last time it happened was 590 BC. So this is massive. And what happened then? Pythagoras was sharing his knowledge, but they chased him out. They didn't like what he was saying. So I think Age of Aquarius, we're already in it. Is it very positive? Not really. There's lots of love and light and a load of beep out there. So it's interesting that this shift will shine a light, and I think it already is shining a light on maybe some, kind of tin pot gurus, because everyone's just jumped on a bandwagon, but the truth will stand the test of time. So sorry, that was a long-winded way to get where I wanted to get, but I hope it makes sense.
No, it absolutely did. And it resonates so deeply, because I think sometimes to myself, there are so many of us who are honest and have integrity and do what we do for reasons that, resonate with our heart rather than our pockets. And so I have been very much, and it's interesting that you said that it's not like a great, it's the thing of Aquarius is not that great, because I feel like there's a lot of people pushing this whole thing of, it's some positive shift. And I, like, when things change, when, and I, for some reason, I keep thinking of the death card, right? Or what's the tower? A tower moment. For me, it
Yeah,
feels like a tower moment. It doesn't feel like love, light, and woo-woo. It just, I feel like we're coming into a tower moment and a massive reset. That's what feels in terms of energy in my body. And so, yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because I'm really tired of this whole, age of Aquarius, we're moving into this like love and light kind of era for humanity. And I'm like, I don't think we're there. I don't think we're there yet. I think maybe the next one will be the love and light age of humanity. Um, I can't even imagine how fulfilling this work would be to you. I can't even imagine what it would have felt like the day that you were like, oh my God, this is what I'm meant to be doing. What guides you now that you've been doing this for a few years? What really guides you in life to continue this work, and why does it mean so much to you?
So I think there's two answers to that question. The first is I'd never want to work for anyone else ever again because my life path one needs to be calling the shots. I need to really, beat to the sound of my own drum. But when I really help people through my app, through my books, through my sessions, through podcasts like yourselves, when I really help people get like huge aha moments, and it's like, oh, I've been pushing a cart up a hill. I've been working on stuff that doesn't matter. I've been wasting all this money on self-development and, business courses, and I didn't need it. Everything that you need is inside you. Okay. You're not broken. You're not behind. It's all there. Your magic is within you. It's just a case of you're here to do a job that nobody else can do. I need Chanel. Chanel needs Caroline. Caroline needs Joe. Joe needs Caroline, right? We don't need sales and marketing. We just need to appreciate our uniqueness. And when we appreciate our uniqueness, then we can stop looking outside of ourselves. We can stop the imposter syndrome. So it's about staying in your lane and running your business and your life your way and not worrying about what other people think. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, right? So it's just like lean into what you're here to do.
I love that. That is so true. That is so true. Oh my God. And I wonder, people have said to me, or, I follow a whole bunch of podcast community things where there's other podcasters, and they're always like, go see what everyone else is doing. I'm like, I've got no interest in seeing what everyone else is doing. What I'm here to talk about is different, and I don't want to sound like anybody else. I don't want to have the conversations other people are having. So yeah, but I just love it. Assholes, everyone's got one. I'm going to use that, Joe. That's fabulous. So knowing all the things that you know now, what, if any, advice would you give to your younger self?
There was a trend a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, about having coffee with your 15-year-old. Did you see that? So it was like having coffee with your 15-year-old self and what you'd tell her. I don't tend to jump on bandwagons. I didn't do the post, but I was thinking if I had coffee with my 15-year-old self, and I think like then you're full of optimism and, sass, and you think like the world's going to be amazing. And it was a different place back then. I grew up in London. I'd probably say like not everyone's going to understand your vitality and energy. It's fine. I'd say speech is silver, silence is golden. Don't tell everyone everything. Keep things back for you, and that you've got so much magic and love and joy in you, and don't waste it on people that can't see that. So yeah, they're the main things.
They are all beautiful things. I wish I could tell my younger self that. Oh, I felt that in my heart. That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's so, so beautiful. So then if you think about all the things that you've done in your life, what are you most proud of?
That I didn't settle, right? And I could have been married. I could have had the kids. I could have had the 2.4 house. I could have stayed with a boyfriend in Turkey. I could have, but I didn't. And I knew that there's always a fire. I'm very Aries. Aries moon, Venus in Aries, and there's always a fire in me, and I always not put myself first, but I never settled. And like my parents would want me to go and work for a big supermarket in the head office because it was round the corner, and I just knew that I had to, I keep saying this, but operate to the beat of my own drum, and I have done that, and I've never betrayed that. And when I do go against that, life goes wrong.
Have you always operated that way, or is that something that you learnt along the way?
I think I wanted to, and when I couldn't, I'd get all like angsty. Like I lived in the best places all over the world, but because I had a boss, that's not good for me. So that's why I have to be self-employed. Even when my friends say, why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? And like, no, I don't want to. I'm very clear about what I'm doing. I've got a business coach I speak to every other week, but she says it's more like somebody shouting across the office, oh, can I just check this with you? You know, I've got my list, I know what I'm doing. So yeah, and when people try and get too involved, it doesn't work for me. And then looking back, when that's been the case, then that hasn't worked. So I'm better kind of doing my own thing, putting my head down, minding my own business. Of course, I need like connection. I'm human. We're not designed to be on our own, but I'm better when I just get on with it and don't tell too many people what I'm doing.
That is one of the things that has taken me maybe the longest to learn, to keep some things to myself. And I think that back in the days, I would say it so that I would feel like I mattered, like I'm doing this awesome thing, and look at my value, see my value, see that I'm smart. And that's, keeping things to myself has become just one of those things that I'm like, yeah, that's a power move for me now. And I've never been the kind of person to put everything online. And so when I see people doing that, I'm like, it's interesting. Like, what are you trying to prove? What do you want people to see? A lot of the times their life is so different when their socials aren't involved. And I love that you've said that, because I think that every woman needs that reminder. I think everyone needs that reminder, but, specifically women, because we are being compared so much. We're being taught to compete all the time. And we never feel like we're enough. I think everyone has a version of I'm not enough in some area of life. And so I think that's a really important reminder in, taking a step back and recognizing what is to share and what doesn't need to be shared.
Yeah, I was just looking for something to share to you and I found it. Don't announce moves, confirm your arrivals.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. And when people throw up on social media, I'm like, oh, it makes me feel really icky. And it's like, no, it's not me.
When you say throw up, you don't mean physically throw up, right? You mean like
You know, when
sharing
they're
everything
just like
online?
sharing like the ins and outs of I know it, and I understand the storytelling piece and like share from the wound, not the scar, blah, oh, sorry, share from the scar, not the wound. But everybody at the moment, I think, is, I don't know if it's the eclipse or that big old moon, but they're sharing from these wounds, and it's not healthy.
No, it's not. It definitely isn't. I feel like this is the most powerful platform to move into the next question, and my favorite question of all, and that is, what do you love about being a woman?
So let's take it back to the very beginning of the podcast. It's not International Women's Day, it's International Women's Millennium. We're in the energy of the two. When we were born, it was the 19, which was 10, which was 1. We had no tech. It was very masculine. We had Reagan, Thatcher, Scargill. If we were poorly, we'd get a bottle of Lucasade, right? So now we're in the energy of the two, but it is very emotional. It's very sensitive, but it is our time. So not that I'm man hating, but it is more of a feminine energy. Think about the 1920s. So the 2000s and the 2 decades, we're halfway through it, is our time. So yeah, let's end it on, forget International Women's Day. It's International Women's Millennium.
Oh, beautiful. Joe, it's been such a pleasure to chat. Please tell the listeners where they can find you and how they can work with you.
So if you go to www.josoley.com, JOSOLEY.com, go to home and then go to Start Here page. And on that page, you've got Life Path app, Personal Year app, blogs, my book, my planner, and you can have a look at the ways to work with me.
If you are interested in connecting with Joe, I will include in the episode description and across socials links and ways you can do that. So if you haven't already, head on over to Spotify and Instagram and YouTube and follow the Skin I'm In podcast to be the first to know when new episodes drop. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Skin I'm In podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This conversation felt like a cosmic exhale. And it made me reflect on all the times in my life I felt like I was pushing against some invisible force, trying to make things happen, yet nothing seemed to stick. Over the years, I've come to realize that it's less about effort and more about timing. And chatting with Joe only confirmed what I've intuitively known all along. Diving into the world of numerology with Joe was both fascinating and liberating. For the longest time, I carried the weight of being a life path 33, believing it was some divine responsibility I had to uphold. At first, the idea of it felt cool and sexy, but underneath, I now see how much of that was me searching for validation, something I deeply craved as a child and got very little of. Now, it's no longer about proving my worth. I realize just how much of that need was attached to a power outside of me. I now know that I have everything I need within. This conversation cracked that illusion wide open for me. It's not about proving myself. It's about leaning into the wisdom of my journey without expectation and without force. Each of us has a unique energetic rhythm, a personal current guiding us towards purpose, growth, and transformation. When we stop resisting, we invite in flow, clarity, and ease into our lives. Looking at life through the lens of numerology offers a fresh perspective on what each of us is here to do and when. And that was one of my biggest takeaways. Stop being so hard on myself. Not every year is meant for breakthroughs. Some years are for planting seeds, some are for deep rest and recalibration, and some are for standing in the light. And all of it is necessary. It makes so much sense to me that I'm currently in year 1 of my cycle. I swear, since I turned 40, I've been diving into new creative ventures, igniting fresh ideas. I feel like a fire burn in my belly about all these new creative things that I'm coming up with and reimagining what I want my life to really look like. And for the first time, I'm not just making things happen, I'm allowing them to happen. This conversation reminded me that surrender isn't about passivity. It's about trusting the timing of your life. It's left me more open to the energy of surrender than I ever imagined I would be. It's not about controlling the future anymore. It's about understanding the energy at play so we can make empowered choices that lead us back onto our soul's path. I continue to be blown away by the ancient systems of wisdom and healing I've been discovering. Modalities that align so deeply with who we are and what we are here to learn and to think. I spent 20, almost 30 years unaware of them or doubting their power. So I want to leave you with a thought. Where in your life do you feel resistance right now? Where does it feel like no matter what you do, you can't break through? And are you willing to surrender to divine timing, to trust the process and let the numbers take their course? Let me know in the comments below. With gratitude and grace, have a wonderful day.